Okay, Kevin.
All right, Mr.
Yeah,
Downing, how are
it's
you,
all
sir?
looking. I'm good, mate. It's all looking very festive in your house. It's very plain. It looks like a prison cell, but anyway.
Look at you. Yeah, I really like your Christmas decorations back there, KK.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to get
Okay.
festive here in Buffalo, New York. Where
Yeah,
are you
yeah,
checking in from? The UK, I take it?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Buffalo, New York. You have any memories of times gone by of Buffalo, New York?
Yeah, lots of good memories. Lots of good memories. Yeah,
Okay.
yes. I can remember getting an overnight train from. Now, did we go from New York to Buffalo, or did we go from Buffalo to somewhere else? I can't. No, I think we were going to Buffalo. I know it was all night on the train, and there was lots of snow.
That
It
sounds
was
like
like
Buffalo.
when we got there, it was like a scene from Dr. Zhivago, this big black train, and you could hear the sound of it, and you could see the steam, but it was still dark, but the snow was up to about here. But we had a good time. We had sleepers, but we didn't go to sleep, you know. No. There was some girls on the train playing up, so they managed to keep us up all night, which was good.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, with Lars Ulrich, I asked him the same question, and he mentioned snow as well. That was the first time they were ever snowed in. But
Yeah, but obviously we went to Niagara Falls quite a bit, and
sure.
that was loads of fun. Yeah, good memories. Obviously, we've played gigs there as well.
All right. Well, I hope we treated you well. We can't wait to have you back. We got KK Downing, formerly of Judas Priest, and currently KK's Priest. I'm honored, and I really want to thank you for the time, my man.
It's a pleasure, mate. It's a pleasure.
Yep. I got a big supporter here with Liquid Death out of Austria, and I just want to say cheers and happy belated 70th birthday to you.
Hey, thanks very much, mate. I could do with a can of that. Liquid Death. That sounds
Liquid
good.
Death. Yeah, it says murder your thirst. It's water from the Alps, comes in still and sparkling, so check them out.
That's cool, mate. That's really cool.
How was your 70th birthday? Was it did you go hard for your 70th birthday? You have some family and friends over?
Well, not really. I think I let it slide by a little bit. It was, me, I'm always busy, but it's, I'm happy as long as I can go to the fridge and get some Liquid Death.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, I'd like to start off with the fact of the day with all my episodes. This is episode 80. When I think of 80, it's 1980. It's British Steel, one of the greatest all-time metal records. But this month is 50 years since Led Zeppelin released their self-titled, untitled record, 4. Do you remember when that came out? Were you a fan of that when it came out?
Yeah. No, it was good. It wasn't exactly my cup of tea because I was like a big Hendrix fan, and I was into the wild kind of, that style, and I tell the story how I was always looking for a music that didn't exist in my ears, and that's kind of, we were doing gigs in 1970, playing our own style of stuff, and songs that went on to be Victim of Changes and Run of the Mill and all of that type of stuff, So when Zeppelin came out, to be honest, I think Zeppelin were what we considered to be the first rock band. I think they were labeled a rock band, not a progressive blues band, because everybody else was considered to be a progressive blues band, like Fleetwood Mac, Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac, the great Peter Green. And obviously Jethro Tull, 10 years after, Blood Moon Pig, Free, Rory Gallagher. Everybody was a progressive blues band, even the Cream, but when Zeppelin came out, they got a little bit of that, whether it was Robert Plant's incredible vocals, a bit more kind of, they were labeled a rock band, I believe, which was very, very cool, because at least we were moving on, because we still didn't have hard rock or heavy rock. That was all to come.
Yeah.
And we certainly didn't have heavy metal, but that was in the future as well.
Yes, it was. And it was spearheaded by your badass band and your guitar and your Flying V. And it was just a few years later, man, you were opening for Led Zeppelin on the Day on the Green in '77. Any memories of that? As your first tour of the US, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, those first American tours we did were wonderful, really, because we were playing some smallish clubs, you know, and theatres, but it was a mixed bag, you know. And but the first two was mainly that we were either headline clubs or we were supporting theatres or something, you know. Can't really remember what the but we did a lot of good stuff back in the early days, you know, with bands, you know. I'd have to go back and have a look at the bills again. That would be interesting, because I know we did some gigs with Twisted Sister, didn't we? I mean, I don't know which way round that was, but yeah, no, it was good. It was good. But then that first tour, we were just about to go home, and they said, "Can you fly to LA?" You know, we're going, which way is that? Where is it? we were on the East Coast, because East Coast was known as the heavy coast, right? You know, New York up and down, Boston, you know, like I say, all of the coast, that area was considerably heavier, and the West Coast was, we considered it was a harder nut to crack, you know, for bands like ourselves.
Well, that was your first stint in delivering the goods, if you will, to America, and you still are. KK's Priest going into next year. We can't wait. You're 70, and Cliff Williams of AC/DC today is 72. And
is he really?
72 today of AC/DC, and you know, when I think, yes. Good times with the boys in AC/DC or Bon Scott back in the day. I'm sure you met Bon Scott, right?
Yes, certainly did. Like I say, we did. We actually supported AC/DC on Bon's last tour, actually, the Highway to Hell tour in Europe. You know, we had a wonderful time. The guys treated us fantastically well. It was a pleasure to work with, you know, to be on tour with those guys. Yeah, one not to be missed, definitely. You know, I mean, it's just great memories, you know.
Yeah, and it's been about a decade since you were with Judas Priest. And I got to tell you, with this reinvention with you and Sermons of the Sinner record and KK's Priest, man, I've been listening to that. And you're still ripping, you're still the ripper. And you think of, I can't help but think of all the musicians we've lost, you know, recently, the past few years.
Well, yeah, it's a big worry and a concern, and like I say, with Sermons of the Sinner, I kind of wanted to bring that to the forefront of awareness of people, you know, and particularly in the song, the Sermons of the Sinner, you know, because we're all dinosaurs, you know, waiting to fall off the end of the earth, and you know, and in some time to come, we'll all be gone, you know. So and the Sermons of the Sinner, you know, there was just that kind of will and want to keep things afloat and healthy and surviving, and bring about the awareness that, you know, our days are numbered, but there's no reason why the music's days should be numbered, and that, so therefore, if people, hopefully, like me and the guys, can carry on to make this music, you know, and we've still got other great bands around the world doing it. Maybe we've got a new album, big album from them, you know. Accept always keep putting stuff out. Udo, Saxon, you know, so we can, you know, we don't want our music just to be a page in the history books. You know, we want something tangible, you know, that, well, by that we could touch and listen to with our senses, you know, in time to come, and so we'll keep plugging away.
Hell yes. I mean, you had your birthday in October, and that was the same month that Sermons of the Sinner was released. But yeah, going back to the musicians we've lost recently, we're talking about Malcolm Young, Dio, Eddie Van Halen, Lemmy, Bowie, Neil Peart, Lee Kerslake, Frankie Benali.
Long list.
You know, it goes on, and you're really honoring them, I will say, with you coming out and just really, really killing it in this record. I want to quote you in a recent interview. You said, "Time is running out for us. Things may never be the same, but the sermons of the center can help us rise again." And rising you are. We have KK Downing here, KK's Priest. This is great. You recorded the record in quarantine?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it was mad. It was crazy. But luckily, Ripper was managed to fly over, and we were able to do the definitive vocals. Literally, the day he flew back, and the same with Sean, managed to put the definitive drums down. But as you know, as soon as they got on the plane again, we went into a severe lockdown, and so it was because we had some great tour dates. To be fair, arena tour dates supporting that year, and we were trying to get the album done to be able to do those days. So it was a mad rush, and then the gigs got cancelled, the lockdowns happened, and so just took the pedal off the metal, really, you know, and took it a bit easy, which was a fantastic opportunity for me, Kevin, really, because I was able to afford the luxury of tweaking and making things better and improving and just nailing the production down. You know, nothing was difficult about it, to be honest, but it was just the last bit refinement about these drum fills, these harmony vocals, these guitars, but everything was just went down pretty easy, to be honest, you know. But you know, if you got something to play with, you're always going to keep messing, right? You know.
Yeah, right. And you mentioned Ripper. He's back in the fold. I was just jamming out. Well, my fiance, she told me to turn it off last night because it was just too loud. The Jugulator record, 1997. Love that artwork. And Ripper's back. How does it feel to be working with him again?
It's fantastic. You know, obviously Ripper helped us to hold the band together, and we're very, very grateful to him for that. I'm sure Rob's very grateful to him now, because we could have, we could have disbanded, gone our own different directions like Rob did for all of those years, and it may not have been intact, but we held it together. So yeah, I'm certainly very, very grateful for Ripper for what he did for us, you know, and like you said, we made those records, and Jugulator, which is the ultimate almanac possibly of riffage, you know.
Yeah, you're looking forward to playing some of those songs live, I'm sure. Any songs in particular you look forward to playing live off the new record or some of your past? Wild and Free is going to be a good one, sure.
Well, definitely all of the songs, when I sat down to do it, I wanted, it was always in my mind that all of these songs should be good live songs. And I'm convinced that they will, because they all have an energy, you know. I know some of them are quite long, but they move on, Kevin, you know. They're not repetitive, you know. They keep moving, and I think they're going to be great. There's loads of audience participation in these songs, which is going to be great. So yeah, I'm happy. It's going to be very, very difficult to pick a set list, especially if we go out and support for 45 minutes or something. That's going to be crazy. But yeah, so we've got the Ripper era to choose from, those albums, Jugulator, Demolition. We've got all of the new albums, sermons, and we've got obviously all of the songs that I wrote and co-wrote over 40 years.
Well, we look forward to see it. And if you see my face, well, of course, in Buffalo, hopefully. Buffalo loves you, man. Western New York. If you see my face up front, don't be afraid if you see me in Athens, Greece. I have a twin brother living in Athens, Greece. So Kevin, what are you doing here? So
Well,
can't wait.
yeah, hopefully we can cover everywhere, just annoying, very annoying, I actually got my booster jab yesterday. I didn't want to. I don't think anybody wants to. It's just the fact that, my dear mom, she's 88, and you just live in fear that, you might pass something on. I'd never be able to forgive myself. And that goes for everybody, And because the thing is, I like to go to concerts and stuff like that, as well, and stuff like that. And me being, as you say, of an age, I suppose that it kind of makes sense now, because I'm loving all of this. Obviously, it's a new lease of life, and
yes, it certainly is the new abnormal. Yeah,
and there's a long way to go yet, and I want to make sure I'm going to be here to deliver it up.
You know what? Well, you look great, as I had mentioned, and you got KK Steel Mill in Wolverhampton, just around the corner.
It's just like 35 minutes away.
Yeah,
from me.
That place looks like loads of fun. You had Michael Schenker group play there, and
Schenker and Doro were there just recently. I went there, and lots of people coming through. Cheap Trick are coming. Ingve's coming. Got 2 sold out shows next week with Thunder. The English band Thunder.
No, I don't. I'll check them out.
Yeah, you must know that epic ballad, Love Walking,
Thunder.
Thunder, yeah. So yeah, they're pretty popular in the UK. So yeah, and they'll be, with the COVID, probably 2,500 each night. So that's good.
That sounds like a blast. Yeah, you have Diamond Head coming through, Avatar, who I just saw time.
Yeah. We'd have a lot more as well if it wasn't the COVID thing. We've had some people cancel Sepultura and stuff like that. Understandable, really, because that was intertwined with lots of other European countries, which are kind of difficult at the moment. Like Austria's going into full lockdown. They're talking about Germany, full lockdown. So the guys, it's understandable, they can't come over and just do the UK. It doesn't make it viable for them,
Yes. I think that's going to be a really cool sight when KK's Priest plays KK Steel Mill. Keep a lookout for that.
Yeah, I think we'll do that. Because, like I say, we can cram that, and it's a big venue, really, to be honest. The guys can set it up in different formats, to be larger, more accommodating to 1,000, 1,000 to 2,000, but 2,000 to 3,000. But also, there's also another room, a smaller venue for several hundred. So that's cool as well.
All right then. All right.
Like a massive rock pub.
Yeah. Well, everyone, got to get your ass to KK Steel Mill and check out some of the bands coming through there. You've been playing guitar for over 50 years, plus. And you seem still inspired to create. Is there something that maybe you've learned recently in the recording of the record that keeps you maybe finding out something new about the instrument?
Yeah, I'm kind of learning stuff all the time, but I've got quite a good, it's pretty handy now, because like I say, I really started to school myself musically in the late 90s. When I started to ratchet it up, and I've kept going since then. And so now it's kind of fun because I can intertwine different scales and modes and stuff like that. And I'm learning stuff all the time, really cool stuff. So obviously on this album, you'll hear stuff that I try to do stuff that nobody's done. Do you know what I mean? And to make it unique. And then when you bring another guitar player and you start to harmonize those techniques and those parts, it gets even more fun, you know.
Yes.
So the madness creeps in musically, but like there's loads more. There's a long way to go yet.
Yeah, bouncing ideas off of someone else, and you made it a real long career, illustrious career doing that with Glenn Tipton. There's a band I had on before, a band out of Italy called Headless. They're very big fans of yours, and they've drawn a lot of experience or inspiration from you. That includes Steve Stevens of Billy Idol. I had him on recently, and Michael Kelly Smith from Cinderella and Brittany Fox, and my buddy Mike Ruggiero. I wanted to show you something before I put this behind glass on our wall here. And just going back to Led Zeppelin, I don't touch this for anyone, but because you're this guitarist, this is signed by Page and Plant, this guitar here. And
very cool.
Wanted to show this to you. I forgot to show it to you earlier in this chat, but I associate you, my man, with that Flying V guitar. And
yeah.
I see KK, I just see Flying V guitar.
Yeah, because when I was young and growing up, you know, I mean, because when they made the first edition in the late 50s, 59, I think. And I think that run was about 500, but I'm not sure. But the next run in 1967 was just 111 guitars. And that's the V with a more pointy headstock, you know. And so I was totally in love with that. But I was also in love with the 1970 edition, which was known as the Gold Medallion edition, you know. But I didn't have the money for those guitars. And you couldn't find them anyway because everybody hung on to them, you know. And so when I first saw the first one, I was lucky in the end to get one of each. But when I first saw the 67 in Birmingham in the shop, you know, it was hard to get the money to get it, but I managed to get it. So I was so lucky because I thought it was so befitting of the music that I was playing, you know. And lo and behold, it became kind of stock metal guitar, you know, to come. So that's very, very cool.
Yes, it is. It is. I mean, you hear a guitar, you can make, oh, that's Hendrix, you know, oh, that's Slash. You hear a guitar, oh, that's KK Downing. But not only that, with you see a Flying V guitar, that's you, man. And I feel the same sentiment, I'm sure, as James Hetfield and Kirk Hammett of Metallica, who are celebrating their 40th anniversary this year.
Yeah. You're taking me back to I'm still back in the 60s now, in the early 70s, we're talking about guitars and music and that. But, you know, mentioning the mighty Led Zeppelin, but I'll throw some other bands in as well. Isn't it uncanny that you have the most influential bands to me, you know, like Jimi Hendrix, you know, Led Zeppelin and Cream, they were just there for just such a few years, and doesn't it seem that they managed to achieve such an incredible amount, you know, that it's totally uncanny, you know. Just a few years, and then it stopped, you know, for different reasons, of course. It's you know, when you think about it, it's hard to believe, you know. Cream, for example, from 64 to 68, thereabouts. You know, Jimi was, you know, 65 to 70 at maximum, you know. I mean, he came to England in late 66, I think it was. That's when we knew him, and he was gone literally in 1970. Yeah, all of those wonderful albums and concerts that we've still got to. Yeah, so this is the wonderful thing about our music that we know and love, and our heritage and our legacy of the evolution of everything that we know that didn't exist. Like I say, in the mid 60s, none of it existed. You know, we had blues, and that went on to be progressive blues in abundance. You know, and so we had rock and roll, Elvis and Bill Haley, but we didn't have rock. You know, so around about 1970, we got rock. You know, and and bands like us and Sabbath, I suppose, you know, were the kind of embryo of what would go on to be heavy metal. It was back in the day to begin with, but we didn't realize that it was at the time.
Yeah, that was a hell of a scene you were part of and you were coming up with. And when you first put that guitar in your hands in the 60s and into the 70s, you were influenced by Hendrix, Clapton, any others that are jumping out at you that exist still?
Well, yeah. Everybody that was a guitar player back then, you can imagine, I considered they were better than me because they were, you know, and so everybody was great. But the thing is, Kevin, they all were great. You know, the great Paul Kossoff, you know, the great Gary Moore, all of the people, you know, because obviously I was a massive fan of Skid Row in '67 when the first album came out, you know, and again that Skid Row only lasted literally 2 or 3 years, you know, and they did 2 great albums, and I was lucky to see the band, you know, the first Skid Row with Gary Moore and Bruce Shields on bass, and that was an incredible band. But they were all great. All of these artists were really, really good and unique, you know, and all had their own space and place in the history of the evolution as we know it today.
Yes, I mean their music lives forever with just a few short years that what they created. We're still talking about it in 2021, going on 22.
And some of the bands I wasn't particularly a fan of then, but now I'm a huge fan, you know, of, you know, like Led Zeppelin, for example, and Wishbone Ash, for example. I'm a huge fan of those guys. And I wasn't particularly at the time, you know, but there's certain bands that now you become really, you know, later on in life, you know, it's like, you know, I was not a fan at all of, let's say, the Beatles, but now I'm a big fan because they were a massive part of musical history, you know. I was a big fan of the early Stones, Rolling Stones, you know, and but everybody seemed to be great back in the day then. And then, of course, we had lots of other great bands coming on board, like UFO and the Scorpions, you know. They were 2 of my big favorite bands in the early 70s. And I was lucky to be able to meet and play with those guys and, you know, and become friendly with those guys and stuff. And so many other great bands after that who became associates and friends, you know, whether it's, like, say, the Def Leppard guys and Saxon guys and, you know, the Iron Maiden guys. Yeah, it's been a wonderful legacy and career, and I hope people think that for me it deserves to continue because, like I say with Priest, I had no intentions of leaving the band. It's just that in 2010 we all agreed to finish the band. We all agreed to retire the band and retire from the band. It's just that I decided not to do the farewell tour. But we all, hence the Epitaph tour, that was the plan, was to end it all. But I refused to do the farewell tour because I didn't believe that I would be happy doing it unless things changed. And it was obvious things weren't going to change. So I jumped ship. I didn't realize the guys were going to carry on for another 10 years. That wasn't the plan.
Yeah, well, those first 40 years, my man, the way you talk about the bands out of the 60s and 70s is the way people are going to talk about your contribution to heavy metal and to music forever. And you go to these sports events, you've got another thing coming. I was first introduced to your band and your style of music in 2002 in a video game called Grand Theft Auto Vice City on a rock radio. You know, you got to know that, and I'm there. And I'm like, wow, that's really catchy. My parents are going to be watching this, and I'm sure people that aren't too familiar with your work, most people are going to be familiar with your work, but are there 3 songs or maybe some songs that best showcase KK Downing over the years that would be a nice platform to start with?
Well, people know that I like to do ad lib solos and stuff, and on stage, and I used to do a lot of that when we were a four-piece up until 1974. So, I was the only player for 5 years and songwriter, and I miss that, I miss doing that, but I did do that, so probably songs like I used to extend solos in Victim of Changes and songs like The Sinner, and stuff like that I used to do. So I guess people, and I'm going to be doing that again, let's face it, in fine style, but also with a lot more songs as well. I do a lot of improvised stuff on the new album, and I'd like to extend some of those solos and do some crazy stuff, because I never did enough of that stuff in Judas Priest, really. Controlled feedback solos, uncontrolled feedback solos, and so I'm going to be illustrating some more of that, because it wasn't really since the early 70s that I stopped doing that sort of stuff,
Well, whoo! Can't wait to see you just unhinged, just going wailing away and just going after it. And big Metallica fan here. They're big fans of yours. They've jammed Victim of Changes back in the 90s. That's how I also discovered about Judas Priest. I was at Louder Than Life in Kentucky recently, and Kirk got up with Priest and performed The Green Manalishi.
Cool.
You're friends with Maiden, you're friends with UFO and Scorpions. You've crossed paths with Metallica back when? Ever?
Not really. No, isn't it? It's just strange that we never did. Never played any shows. I mean, sadly, we were playing Madrid in a big bull ring in the middle of Madrid. We were headlining, and Metallica was supposed to be on before us, but unfortunately that was the show, I stand corrected, that unfortunately when Cliff got killed, and so the guys couldn't make it down to the show, which was very, very sad. Otherwise, wouldn't that have been great? Metallica and Priest on the same bill, that would have been superb, yeah. But got to manage to meet a couple of the guys, Lars, and a couple of the guys, and Kirk, coming to our gigs, and hanging out, so I'm glad they did that. I did manage to go to Donington, which was a festival in the UK, and the guys were headlining, and I did manage to get on the side of the stage for that, which was awesome. And they opened up with Bread Fan, I think, because I'm a big Budgie fan as well, from the 60s, Budgie, 67, 68. Yeah, big Budgie fan. And so, yeah, so really, I suppose, for all intents and purposes, I'm very much a historian, because I lived through the whole of this thing.
Yes, you certainly did. And you and Tipton have your stamp on heavy metal and music forever. Hetfield and Hammett, man, they're celebrating 40 years together. I'll be there in SF later this week. Going to be a big celebration, Metallica takeover in SF. What do you think of their quarterback? Go Bills, man. We lost in that game recently. That was rough. But what do you think of their guitar partnership and their stamp in heavy metal? You like their music?
Absolutely. I mean, I must commend everything, everything that is Metallica, because great band name, obviously great lineup, and the guys have made so much great music and played so many great concerts, and let's put a lot more years on that. That's what needs to be done. Those guys have got loads of gas in the tank.
Yes,
loads of gas in the tank. Yeah, I think So it's just guys my age we have to worry about a little bit. But having said that, you know, um, if it's just in the mind, isn't it? Really, it's just in the mind. But yeah, we're all raring to go. We're raring to go. We've got all the gear. We've been talking to our agents. We think we can get out this summer in the States, so stay tuned, hopefully, all being well. We'll get out there and play some shows, and hopefully we can go on to the rest of the world. It's going to be great.
Can't wait. Can't wait, man. To your fans, I know you like cars, you like golfing, and you love to play heavy fucking metal, which is coming next year. What are some other hobbies maybe that some of us don't know you're into?
No, like I say, I don't know what it was. I always played golf and tennis, and so did Glenn. We were kind of, but it's all sports with us, whether it's snooker, darts, we're just mad. We're very competitive with all as many sports as, but just something to do on a day off. And it's good to get out of the hotel and go and see where you are, and I've done that and I enjoy that around the world. People have actually, we get to town. I can remember going to Switzerland once, and it was like, Switzerland, lots of snow. It's in the winter. They opened the golf course up for us. In the dead of winter. It wasn't all covered with snow, but it was freezing cold, and ice. And
you played golf in the winter?
Yeah, yeah.
You bundle up and hit it and have at it?
Yeah, people have to get out there, and it's all about walking around and hitting something, isn't it?
Yeah. Years here and there.
I've played in America on golf courses on Indian reservations, when half of the green is ice, literally ice, so you can't put on that half, but you can put on the other half, so yeah, you do lots of crazy things when you do these things.
Right. Some eventful day offs for you coming in 2022. I could already tell, man. Wanted to bring this up to you just to switch gears here. So for every new subscriber, and to our viewers, if you're finding any value, you're digging what we're talking about, like, subscribe is really appreciated. In fact, for every new subscribe, I make a $10 donation to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, of which I am on the board. There's no stigma here on this podcast. And if I may ask, have you personally, professionally, I know it's been a tough time the past few years with COVID, and it's not a very forgiving business. Have you personally or professionally been affected by suicide, and maybe how has that impacted?
No, I can't say I have, Kevin, really, so, and I consider myself lucky, because, but obviously, definitely everyone should have an awareness, of people in their lives, and also not in their lives, great consideration must be given. Like as you said, it's become a tough world at the moment, hasn't it? Really, with so much going on, politically, and with the pandemic and everything. Lots of people are suffering, so we need to, do what we can to try and bring some good stuff into everybody's lives, because you never know who you're talking to, and you never really know where they may be at, so we have to have a consideration and just keep an awareness, so that we can do what we can to help whenever we can. Yeah, so a great cause. I didn't know that, Kevin, you're a part of all of that. So wonderful work, and keep the good work up. And I do encourage everyone, obviously, to support wherever they can.
Yes, yeah, very, very appreciated. It is important to talk about it, and there's no, oh, I'm too tough enough. The toughest thing to do is just to talk about it, and it's okay, and it does gets better. So, if I may, just to finish off here, KK, and thank you so much. Heading Out to the Highway is, I almost cry when I hear that song, honestly, because just lyrically and just the power in it. I'll be cranking that in the airplane going to the show. And are there a few songs, metal songs, hard rock, heavy metal songs that still to this day give you that feeling of just of indestructible and goosebumps at all?
Yeah, well, the list is forever long, isn't it? You know, but yeah, I do think that because people do ask me about the new album, because obviously you've got some darker songs, you've got some kind of epic songs, but you've also got these kind of what I would call traditional Judas Priest rock songs, you know, which are like, or you can call them parking lot songs, you know, but they're songs that we've kind of, well, I've certainly always been a part of and grown up with, and been a part of writing so many of them, whether it, as you say, Another Thing Coming, Living After Midnight, you know, Heading Out to the Highway, these kind of uplifting kind of, yeah, we're going to the concert tonight, let's put a crate of beer in the car, let's go and meet all our buddies and, you know, and have some beers and just get in the concert and enjoy them. And other bands have got these songs as well, you know, Alice Cooper maybe, School's Out, Quiet Riot, Bang Your Head, Twisted Sister, you know, have got several of these songs, you know, and you know, love them or hate them, whenever they come on, they're always uplifting and everybody likes them. And not to forget Kiss. Kiss have got a massive repertoire of these songs, you know, a massive repertoire. When they come on, you know, it's foot tapping, uplifting. But the main thing is when you go to the concert and you hear and see the bands perform these songs, you find yourself physically getting into it anyway, even though you might kind of look down on it or poo-poo it to your friends, you know, as being a little bit kind of, you know, pop rock, glam rock, you know, lighter side of metal, whatever you want to call it. But these songs are important ingredients and a very important part of the evolution of heavy metal as we know it. I could say that because these songs are in our repertoire and have been from day one. And obviously with Sermons of the Sinner, you know, the songs are on there, you know, Raise Your Fist, Brothers of the Road, Wild and Free. Similar kind of, very similar because it's me writing these things, you know.
Yes.
So, and I like that, you know, we may not win, these songs may not win a literary award, you know, for the lyrics, but they reach out and they touch the audience and the people know what we're singing about. And it's all about joining in.
Yes. Yeah. You use an adjective just there, uplifting. And I think we could all use some uplifting heavy metal. And that's what we get from KK's Priest in 2020 and beyond. And I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you and Jamie for the opportunity to have a chat today.
It's been a pleasure. And a big hello to all of your fans, all of the listeners. Like I say, everybody joining with Kevin's cause, great cause. And really hope you like our new record, and I hope you get to check it out. And we hope to see you at a concert somewhere soon in your town, including Buffalo.
Yeah, including Buffalo. That's right. It's the city of good neighbors. That's what we call it. And I'd be honored to get you some chicken wings delivered right to wherever you are.
Buffalo wings in abundance. Let's do it.
Gotcha. And to our viewers, again, you liked what you saw today, like or subscribe, always appreciated. It's for a good cause. Next week, Frank Novanich, rhythm guitar, Hatebreed. It's going to be a good one. And stay happy, stay healthy, stay hungry, and stay heavy. Merry Christmas, KK.
See you, Kevin. Same to you. Bye.
Bye now.